to the very first episode of Tech Talk with Boyum podcast. Now, we're going to dive into the latest trends and insights in the world of business and technology here. I'm your host, Paula Da Silva, CMO from Boyum IT, and I'm definitely thrilled to have you join us on this exciting journey. At Boyum, we specialise in creating innovative software solutions that help businesses streamline their operations and bring products to life. Our focus is on enhancing the entire product value chain, so ensuring that our clients derive value along the entire process and ultimately achieve their business goals. As this is our very first episode, I want to take a moment to share a bit about what you can expect from this podcast today and certainly moving forward. Each episode will endeavour to bring you expert insights, practical advice, and real-world examples to help you navigate the ever-evolving landscape of business technology. Now, we're going to place a special emphasis on content related to the product value chain, exploring how businesses can optimize each stage from the initial idea, so the innovation stage, development to delivery, and ultimately the go-to-market. Now, whether you're a business owner, a tech enthusiast, or just curious about the latest trends, there's something here for you. Now, today we're exploring a topic that's critical for small and medium-sized enterprises, or SMEs, as we often refer to them, and that is cloud computing. Specifically, what you need to know before making that leap to the cloud. Now, cloud computing has certainly been a game changer for businesses of all sizes. But for SMEs in particular, it can be transformative. Now, before you make the leap as a business, there are certainly several key considerations to keep in mind. Today, in this particular episode, we'll cover the basics of cloud computing, the benefits, and we'll certainly talk about the potential challenges and some best practices to ensure a smooth transition. However, before we dive in, I'm thrilled to introduce our special guest for today's episode. Joining us is Alyn Hughes, Strategic Alliances Director from Cloud for Partners. Cloud for Partners is a specialised cloud hosting service provider designed for SAP partners worldwide. They focus on simplifying the delivery of SAP Business One Cloud to customers, offering various hosting options such as multi-tenant and dedicated deployments. Cloud for Partners provides a purpose-built platform that allows SAP partners to offer cloud technology without needing extensive in-house technical expertise. Their services are built on Amazon Web Services, ensuring high security, reliability, and scalability. Now, Alyn has extensive experience in the field of cloud computing and has helped numerous SMEs successfully transition to the cloud. So welcome to the show, Alyn.
Thank you, Paula. It's great to be here.
Wonderful. So we're excited to have you here, Alyn. So without doubt, your expertise will be invaluable as we explore this topic a little further. So let's start with the basics. What exactly is cloud computing? Now, we all think we understand it. It's not like this is a new concept, but do we really know what it is? So if I was to go ahead and Google it, in simple terms, the way that I would explain it to our Boyum customers is that it's the delivery of computing services like servers, storage, databases, networking, software, just to throw out a few components over the internet or the cloud, as they call it. So this essentially allows businesses to access and use these resources on demand without the need for physical hardware in their offices or extensive IT infrastructure. That's how I look at it. So, Alyn, we've touched on the basics. Given that many people think they understand what cloud computing is, but may not necessarily fully grasp its implications, how do you go about defining cloud computing when you engage in these conversations with your customers? And maybe you might want to add to that your perspective on its core benefits for SMEs.
Yeah, absolutely. It's for me, cloud computing is a marketing term that everyone now thinks they know what it means. For me, it's all around ultimately the value that an end user customer or an SAP partner benefits from. And fundamentally, cloud computing should simplify your lives. It should allow you to concentrate on what you set up your business to do in the first place without having to worry about the infrastructure, its monitoring, its backups, its security, its stability, its scalability. All of those things should just be part of that cloud computing experience. Where I think people get it wrong is they think all cloud computing is the same, and it certainly isn't. So if you look at Gartner, for example, they're now reporting that private data centers are on the way out. So I don't know if you've heard of a term called hyperscaler before, but the likes of AWS, Microsoft Azure, and Google Cloud are hyperscalers. They're just bigger data center environments. They have the capability to scale up and down at the click of a button. It's a lot more powerful. And because they have that in place, it does mean that it's cost effective. And it also means that that's where all the clever money is now going. So anyone who wants cloud computing, one of the first questions I would be asking if I was looking for it is, what platform are you on? Are you a hyperscaler? And there's lots of this information on the internet. But we looked at all three of those hyperscalers when we chose who to work with, and we've been implementing SAP Business One in the cloud for over 10 years in the UK under Ascari, and our Cloud for Partners division that I now represent is very much a case of that's come out of, we've been doing this for such a long time. This actual capability is something that other partners are really interested in taking up around the world. They don't want to necessarily be the cloud experts. They don't want to necessarily worry about how to employ the right people to provide the service that their customers would expect. And that for me is really what cloud computing is all about. It's one, the quality of the delivery of the actual cloud experience, and two, have you got the right partner?
Interesting. I actually wrote that down. Hyperscalers. Okay, that's new for me. I'm going to need to research that some more. Thank you for that. Now, just
Well,
diving into that a little bit more.
yeah, it's
Yep, go
probably
ahead.
worth saying here, Paula. Yeah, it's probably worth saying just a little bit more on hyperscalers.
Mm,
It's Gartner actually, as I say, are saying that that's the way forward. But if we look at AWS, for example, data centers with AWS in the EU are 5 times more efficient than a standard private data center.
mm,
That's
okay.
also replicated in the US, in North America. It's not quite to the same level, but it's still well over 3 times more efficient than a private data center. So these are the sort of things that are coming out in the wash, and people are now realizing the benefits of actually partnering with people that deal with these hyperscalers. So it is very important.
Okay, interesting. Now, why why should an SME consider moving to the cloud in the first place?
Well, there's lots of reasons. I think traditionally everyone's always run on premise, and we all
Mm,
know that. And different, my experience traveling around Europe all the time is that different countries are at different stages. So if I look at where I live in the UK, probably about 4 or 5 years ago, the UK started waking up to the fact that cloud was actually a really good idea. Prior to that, it was very conservative, quite reticent to actually make that jump. They saw it as really expensive. You want us to pay how much a month? Because
yeah.
they weren't looking at the real costs of running things on premise. And the real costs of on premises are, one, you need to typically employ at least one, if not more, people internally just to run your business system on your on premise solution. Two, what are the other additional hidden costs? And when you're running on premise and say a hard drive goes down or a process ceases to work, getting those parts isn't necessarily something that you can just switch on. You might have to order the part. It might take a week or two to arrive. These are the things that you've got to consider. So one of the questions I've always asked financial directors especially is, what's the cost of you not having your business system for an hour, a day, a week, a month? A lot of them don't know. So it's certainly opening those eyes and actually making them think and start to work that out. Because when you look at on-premise solutions, if you can get that to work 80% of the time, you've got quite an efficient system. Whereas when you look at the right cloud provider, you're then talking of average uptimes of over 99%. That just can't be replicated on an on-premise solution. So there's there. So when it comes to costs, certainly there's massive cost savings when you look at the entire, shall we say, platform and what the art of the possible is. So if you're just looking at a monthly cost to pay out, plainly buying your own hardware is going to be cheaper if you don't consider the costs of employment of other people, don't consider the costs of potential downtime, which will happen on premise a lot more, and also the scalability and that time delay in actually getting those new things that you need for your platform. So cost savings is one of the major significant advantages. But it's not just that. There are plenty of other things, as we'll discuss as we go through this, but the scalability, the sustainability, the security, all of these things that are built into cloud come to the fore. And it just allows you as a business owner to concentrate on what you set up your business to do. Did you set up your business to set up a massive array of servers and monitor and control and update and constantly worry about? And I'll be very surprised if the answer is yes. And likewise with SAP partners, did they set up their business to do anything other than sell and implement SAP Business One based solutions for their customers? I bet none of them actually thought, right, I really want to set up a cloud environment and manage it. Now, I will hold our hand up here. Ascari in the UK is one of those people that did, but that's because we're very much a technical company at heart. And Stuart Wilson, our CEO, is someone that comes from the big world of SAP on big implementations and could see a marketplace that SAP Business One really could run well in the cloud. And that's how we designed this. So we've been implementing Business One since 2013 in the cloud. And so we've experienced a lot of the issues that other partners have not. And that knowledge is something we can bring to the table.
Okay, great. Thank you, Alyn. In fact, when you were touching on the cost savings of moving to the cloud, often businesses don't take into consideration downtime if they're waiting for a part or anything like that.
Correct.
And certainly we would have learnt the hard way during COVID lockdowns. How can we ever forget that, where, there was a lot of scarcity. Now, for our listeners, it's probably worthwhile explaining the relationship between Cloud for Partners and Ascari, because you touched on Ascari just then.
Yes. Well, Ascari is the main company, and we sold our first SAP Business One solution, as I said before, in the cloud in 2013. So we're an SAP Gold partner in our own right. We still are a very successful Gold partner in the UK, and really our strength is that we know how to make SAP Business One run really well in the cloud, whether that be SQL or whether that be SAP's own HANA in-memory database. Now, the in-memory database is actually quite a good example of where cloud really works against on-premise, in the fact that because it's in memory and the way that SAP servers for HANA are priced, they're a little bit more expensive than SQL. So if you were going down on-premise, the on-premise route, you would actually have to think, right, okay, well, I want this server or these array of servers to run for 3 years. So I need to plan where I'll be in 3 years to make sure I buy hardware big enough for it. The difference between cloud is that we can start small, as you are now, and scale it upwards. Just turn up the dials when you need it. So that way you're not paying more for things you don't need at this moment in time. And that really works well with the HANA experience. And it's something that the UK customers of Ascari have taken to heart. And it's really made a big difference to the way we actually go about selling SAP Business One, because we lead that way. We don't have any on-premise customers. And that's really developed into Cloud for Partners, which is another division of Ascari. So this is a global solution now on AWS, because we've got 7 AWS data centers around the world, a couple in the States, one in Canada, one in Dublin, one in Frankfurt, UAE, and Singapore. And the beauty of those is that all of those chosen data centers, and there's plenty more from AWS if we ever needed them, is they're all running on 100% renewable energy already. So these are the sort of messages that we go to market with. And whilst some cynics out there will go, oh, I don't really care if it's run on recycled energy or renewable energy rather, but a lot of the newer business owners do care about these things. So it's a great message to take to market. It's another tick in the box of why you should be the partner that they work with. And these are the sort of messages we can come across with.
No, absolutely. Sustainability is definitely a big topic moving forward, especially amongst tech companies. Now, if I can cast your mind going back to some of the main reasons why SMEs should consider moving to the cloud. One of the concerns that keeps popping up in conversations with customers and prospective customers alike is the concern around data privacy and compliance. How do you deal with any objections in that area, in particular concern? Because obviously that is a big concern today for businesses being hacked and so forth. What's your view there?
Yeah, it's the likes of security, data privacy, and compliance. It's all bundled into one in my mind, but it's a big old topic, and I think there are still businesses out there that think, no, having everything in my office, I know where it is, I feel safer than this mysterious cloud. They're a dying breed. And the reason I say that is that it's actually proven that data held on a hyperscaler like AWS or Microsoft Azure or Google Cloud, they are very, very safe. The data is very well protected. From our perspective, the way we build our platform, we have AWS at the core, but we've also got our own purpose-built IP designed to make SAP Business One run really well. But on top of that, we have Sentinel-1, which is machine learning, antivirus, and monitoring. And we also have Duo for multi-factor authentication. So we can certainly start bringing in lots of security measures that maybe some businesses have not done before. And the MFA to me is essential. In a world where ransomware is becoming more prevalent, especially in the SME sector, we need to protect ourselves as much as possible. And we've all heard of different examples. We've got lots of examples of where we help companies save themselves from being caught by ransomware. And I can wax lyrical on this, and without giving away names and company details, there are plenty of examples where people have been hit by ransomware, and we've helped them over a weekend completely rebuild their platform on our AWS cloud with a backup that's a week or two old, granted, but that's before they were hit by the cyber attack. And in that way, it's just typing in the last week or two's data as opposed to paying potentially millions of dollars or pounds or whatever currency you want to talk about. It's a big old difference to the way that we used to think that the biggest problem was a virus. Nowadays, it's purpose. There are criminals, gangs out there whose job it is to try and hack into business systems. If they can get onto your Active Directory and gain control of that, they can say who can access what part of the system, and they really can make a profitable, successful business die within days.
Yeah,
So
that's
there's
actually
the
quite
big
scary.
thing. It is. Well, I'm not here to try and scare people, but it's the
Yeah.
realistic thing to say. It's if you put your head in the sand and ignore it, you're risking your business. And
Mm.
we all know how hard an SME business owner and directors work to get their business to be successful. There's nothing worse than a successful business being utterly crippled by a criminal gang. And whether they're a government sponsored criminal gang or whether they're just a criminal gang in their own right, the risk is real.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So now, whilst we're still on this topic of some of the potential challenges and certainly considerations for SME to keep in mind before moving to the cloud, some of the other concerns that have popped up are vendor lock-in. So, for example, where they sign up with a provider and there's a lock-in contract usually. So then it makes it difficult to switch providers without some significant effort and costs. Personally, my advice is always to be sure to understand the terms of the agreement before diving in. And that's where it's very important to understand who you're looking to do business with. But there's also the cost management aspect. Certainly, while cloud computing can save money, it's certainly crucial to monitor and manage the usage and avoid unexpected costs and surprises. So with all of that, any sort of final takeaways or summations from your experience on any other perceived challenges moving to the cloud?
Well, Paula, I think it's important when you're considering this end of the topic that you have to investigate the partner that's providing the cloud service for you. Now, if you want to learn everything that the likes of AWS, for example, can do and become an AWS partner, there's nothing stopping anybody doing that. But it's not easy. We've gone through that mill, and we've got lots of people who are fully accredited, which is why we're an advanced tier status partner with Amazon. And from a perspective of getting to that stage, it's taken a number of years to get the right amount of people in the right qualifications and accreditations. It's not an easy thing to do. So if you just want to start taking the benefits out of going to a cloud computing provider, investigate your partner thoroughly and see what experience they have. Are they related also to what you're looking to host? Now, that's our strength. Personally, that's our strength. We deal with SAP Business One partners because we are also a gold partner ourselves, coupled with the fact that we know your Boyum solutions really well, coupled with the fact that we know other solutions that work with SAP Business One really well. It means that our support team already have a thorough knowledge of those solutions and can help partners that want to bring their customers to the cloud on AWS, because we know where things might need some additional work, a reboot here or there, all these sorts of things. And that's value that, unless you start talking about it, you may not think about. So there are plenty of examples where a number of partners this year I've talked to have moved to us and are moving their customer base in the cloud from what they're currently on to our platform. And that's down to the fact that they were working with a well-recognized cloud provider, but they had no knowledge of SAP Business One. And if something went wrong, they'll just say, that's nothing to do with our infrastructure. Please go and solve it yourself. That's the difference. So from our perspective, one of the values that we bring is that we also can go, okay, well, we've seen that before. What we've done to solve this is this or that. And that's the value. So it's all about, don't just pick any old cloud provider. Try and pick one that knows what you're trying to do and has experience of doing it. And I'd be asking for those sort of references. It's phenomenally important. And there's plenty of cloud hosting providers out there who literally will only work to contract, will only be the cloud infrastructure as a service. They don't care what you put on there. And fundamentally, when a problem arises, if it's not directly related to their infrastructure in the cloud, they will not help you. So that's one thing. And really, I would personally, if I was looking for someone to actually help me, what and how does the system monitoring work? How is it reported upon? How do I get told as an end user or a partner how efficient things are running for each of my customers or my system? Those are the sort of things that people tend to ignore and only find out afterwards. They don't get any sort of reporting. So it's quite useful to have, even if it's a monthly report, this is how things have gone over the month. These are the peaks and troughs of usage. Or you can see last Tuesday, our servers really did spin up a lot and a lot of work being done. And you can analyze, well, what happened then? Is that a one-off? Or is that something we need to keep an eye on? Because maybe we need to raise the dials, turn the dials up a little, and maybe put a bit more memory in, a bigger hard drive, a faster processor. And that's the benefit of the hyperscalers, as I mentioned to you before. We can literally do that within minutes. And you're up and running with a much faster processor, a bigger hard drive, more memory, whatever's needed. And that's also very important. So it's just about asking those additional questions, crossing the T's and dotting the I's.
You know what, Alyn? I have been writing like a mad woman as you've been talking here. So chick, chick, chick. Very, very compelling reasons. Thank you. Now, the main topic and the reason that we've come together here today is to provide some guidance and advice to SMEs out there who are contemplating moving onto the cloud. I mean, we've certainly defined it and highlighted why you should move to the cloud and perhaps some of the challenges, but how? How can our SMEs ensure a smooth transition to the cloud? You know what? I've got my pen ready, Alyn, because I'm sure you've got lots of wisdom there to share with us all.
Yes, and it sort of flows on from what I talked before. But if I talk from our example, I can only comment on how we work, and we know it works.
Mm-hmm.
So even at a SCARI level, when we're dealing with end user customers, we do a discovery and design session with every customer to make sure we fully understand what the ins and outs and the requirements are from that customer. Because we know SAP Business One, as an ERP solution, it's pretty industry agnostic. It can be made to fit such a wide variety of customer and solve their business issues in one database. We can't presume that a cloud platform for an end user customer, the requirements are going to be the same each time. So whether it's an end user customer, or importantly, if it's one of the SAP Business One partners that we work with around the world, we always do a discovery and design session for every opportunity they work on. Because one of their customers could be a large manufacturer, the next one could be a professional services company with only a small requirement. These are the sort of things we need to work out. We need to work out whether we need a VPN. We need to talk about printing in the cloud. We need to talk about how people access it and where from. Are they linking it to more than one location? All of these things can easily be forgotten. But because we've actually got it identified in a document, these questions are asked reliably every time. And that's what makes a successful, should we say, move to the cloud. And really, that's so important that there is something in place that is regular, it's normal, and it's consistent. So once that's done, we then work with, if we're working with a partner, for example, we can happily start what that customer of theirs needs at a lower level. So you don't need to start spending money you don't need to spend, if you know what I mean, right now.
Mm-hmm.
You can start small and grow. And that scaling is so important. And that's, again, something a hyperscaler can do better than anyone else. Because not only can they scale upwards, we know businesses, especially SMEs, sometimes go through a bad turn. Occasionally, and this is one of the things I like about our company, is we can also listen and understand when a customer might be going through a bad patch. We can scale down those dials too. Now, that's more difficult on a private data center. And especially because the way they work is they lease the tin generally. So their hardware is all in a private data center. They will not want to turn it. If you say you want to buy X for 36 months, they will expect you to pay X for 36 months. Whereas from our perspective, because we've got that capability to listen and understand, we can scale down requirements as and when, as well as scaling up. That's phenomenally important. And then what we also have on our platform is that AWS has a concept of on demand. So if you imagine you're coming to an upgrade, when you're on premise, if you've only got the one set of servers, you're doing a live upgrade on your live system. That's dangerous. So unless you've already invested in multiple servers and you can do it on a test system, of which some people have got and other people haven't, many haven't, with the cloud, you've got your live system in the cloud. We can spin up instantly on demand an exact replica of what the live system is, upgrade the software, put the data in, allow users to test the system on the test on demand system. And when they're happy it works, take a fresh copy of data across and then make that on demand platform the live version and switch off the old one. And that's the beauty. So it's very much like a Towers of Hanoi type effect. But ultimately, it allows people to have what they need, because when you upgrade software, your requirements from the cloud servers perspective may change too. So having your on-demand test platform shows exactly what you need. It gives you as much time that you want to test, and you're only paying for what you need at that time. That's one of the beauties of cloud. You're only switching on and using what you need.
Fabulous. In fact, if for any listeners that are madly, frantically writing, don't worry, we'll actually provide a blog summarizing all these great pointers that Alyn shared with us here today. Now, you've been working with Boyum Solutions for quite some time in association with Ascari, the SAP Business One part of your business, implementing our solutions for SME and transitioning to the cloud. Can you share some examples of how perhaps the Boyum solution offerings have helped transform some of the customer operations and the impact that's had on their businesses moving to the cloud?
Yes, absolutely, and it's wide ranging across the whole Boyum portfolio. Um, we bought into what you guys do at Boyum a long time ago, and we really do believe it's helped us grow and win business against competitors to SAP Business One throughout the UK. But that's then snowballed into our abilities to help other partners around the world who need or sometimes may not have worked with Boyum as extensively. Because for example, Ascari in the UK will not sell SAP Business One without something from Boyum in the mix, whether that's the horizontal products like B1 usability package and print and delivery. They're cloud-friendly applications, and they work either on our simple multi-tenant platform all the way through to full-blown dedicated platforms for customers. They're great. They enhance SAP Business One enormously, and they're a no-brainer. They're always included, and we say that message to every partner we talk to. But where I think Boyum have certainly expanded, and in an exciting way as far as I'm concerned, is that moving into the cloud with some of your solutions has been relatively easy too, because we can actually easily link. Let's take, for example, it's now called Netronics. Prior to that, Boyum Cloud, the cloud applications that were in that portfolio, they can be easily linked to our cloud platform and the SAP Business One system. It's really no hardship at all. And this is some of the benefits of cloud. It's just instantly on, it's available, you go. You don't have to spend a lot of time configuring those solutions. A lot of that is easily configured if there is some configuration, but it's also get on with it. So, for example, Inspect is one of my favorite of the Netronic applications because bringing quality control to SAP Business One, it's not intrinsically built into the system, but this now allows a quality manager to control their quality team and go out and do testing of whatever they need to do in a warehouse or a factory and report it back. And then the company then starts getting more important data. They've got data that they can report to the board, and the board can make a decision on whether a product is worth continuing with or whether there's an issue. The data is everything, and that's the beauty of all of these cloud applications talking to each other. We can enhance and bring in new features to provide that additional data for businesses to make decisions upon. That's how I look at the cloud, and plainly I can see that Boyum are progressively bringing out more applications that are cloud friendly and are going to work really well with certainly the messaging that we talk about, whether it be Ascari in the UK as a direct SAP Business One partner with end user customers, or Cloud for Partners with the myriad of Business One partners we work with around the world.
Thank you. And I want to, at this point, take the opportunity to give a big shout out to Ascari for their loyalty and trust in Boyum. Certainly, we do appreciate that greatly. Wow, Alyn, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing all the insights over this particular episode. We do really appreciate your time. We know that you're busy traveling all over Europe. Now, as we wrap up, it's absolutely clear that cloud computing brings a wealth of advantages to SMEs. You know, it's easy to say, you could summarize it as it's a no-brainer, including cost savings, scalability, enhanced flexibility, and certainly there shouldn't be an issue around security. Thank you all for tuning in today. We hope you found our discussion on cloud computing for SMEs valuable. Remember, choosing the right provider and planning your migration carefully can make all the difference if we take the advice that Alyn has certainly shared with us today. A big thank you again to our guest Alyn for giving up your time to be with us today. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review, a positive one, we certainly hope. And I do hope you enjoyed today's episode. Stay tuned for more episodes in the coming months. Until next time, keep innovating, stay curious. And with that, I bring our first podcast episode to a close. This is your host, Paula Da Silva, signing off.